pushing into turn 26, you know, I did the, no reason for it, but I did the digging. 3 more hexes next turn is not going to get me there. But I can't not do things, sort of. Didn't end up getting a breach in this inner wall, so that's essentially over. These guns here managed to get a breach here, and we got 2 breaches at the front. All fine and good, but now we got to see what the Byzantines are able to get. And their repair capacity is a none too big 11. That doesn't mean too much. All I need is 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 points. So I've got enough points to repair all those breaches, and then nothing matters really, because all we have is 1 more turn for the assault. So let's see what we get, if anything. First of all, this one, we're next to Johannes, so we get a +1 on there. And a 1 means that breach is going to hold. I'm going to ignore these, they don't matter to the game anymore. Just discard them. Let's go to this one. This is a straight up roll. I get a 4. That fixes 2. That's not enough to do anything. I'll replace it, just being anal retentive or something. But that gets me a 6 there. Now this one, anything but a 1 or a 2 on the final breach will fix it. And we get a 5. I can remove that. So I have essentially 2 holes to go through. What's kind of impressive is one of them's up here on the blacker eye region, which is where I'm probably going to focus my attack. I'll take all those guns off. They're not going to mean a thing. We're ready to go into turn 27, and obviously it's going to be an assault turn. And after shifting some forces, including good old Gistiani up here to the area that's in danger, you have a hole in the line. It was just a matter if I only had 1 guy in the reserve, I could move up. Remember, you need a leader to move at any time to start stacked with you. Anyway, I didn't bother with the digging this time, but we pull, and this is kind of important, although I think no matter what it's going to be big enough. A 20, that gives us 32 points. What do we have? Mehmet 7. Let's just do the calculations here. There isn't much else left in the game, right? I want these Anatolians, they're 5. I want these Europeans, they're 8. The Bassi Bazooks are a pretty good buy for 1. And now the choice is whether I want 2 para units or 1 unit under Ishak Pashka. Obviously, these 2 will cost me 10 to get, and they're not as good. Whether or not, you know, 2 units or 1 is better, but I'm going to bring everything in except the 2 para units. And now it's just a matter of, well, where do I put them? These are the only places I can break through. Everywhere else in the game is out of play, essentially. So we're going to focus on these 2 areas, and we'll see what we end up with. And after 1 round, that's what it looks like. Just a mass of denseness. We've got both Anatolian groups up here with the Europeans behind them. The big old Janissaries here with the Bassi Bazooks behind them for whatever they hold. Basically, if I can push my way in, I'm fine no matter what. You know, 5 Janissaries at full strength gets me in there. I've got more than 5. These excess units are just this massive, I don't know what, but I might as well bring them in. No harm there. I can take these guys off the board. I can take these guys out. I thought about mentioning this earlier. Ever the Optimist. Berg was kind of burned on this one in terms of reviews, etc. because of all the water in the game and all the map that's just unused. You just really, without the boats, use this. The rest of this is almost unimportant. And the water, absolutely so. But I'll say one good thing for it. It lets me pull the map close to me and still have the rules on the map. Okay, but yes, it could have been made on this tiny little game. Still outside of range and still moving forward. And remember, I can't spread out or do anything like that. I'm just channeled into these two little funnels going right at the wall. We hit the big question of to foss or not to foss. I'm close enough that I could get some units into the foss at this point without filling it, and obviously into the places that are already filled. Filling the foss, you might say, well, you take a lot of damage if you don't, and that's true. You do take more damage, but only from melee. From missile, you spend an extra turn out in front of those missiles, and there's a 1 in 6 chance that you get knocked out by that. Whereas, well, it's harder to tell what the chance of getting knocked out with the melee system is. But in general, I mean, if we're looking at these 4-point armor units, we don't know how much the attacker's going to be putting up, but it looks like a less than a 1 in 6 chance in general for them of them getting getting any ill effect. Probably. To get the 1 in 6, you're going to have to, I don't know, 2 through 6 is pretty rich. Here you're getting above 1 in 6 already. Yeah, I don't know. But having that unanswered fire is definitely painful. Of course, I can slip a shot through there without it being against me. I don't know. Obvious answer. Let's put some of them lighter troops up front. Some of those guys that I don't care about losing. Unfortunately, I didn't put the weakest units in the very front, but they actually suffer more of a chance of getting knocked out. So the 2-step units provide me with some advantages. Now, none of these guys are actually filling the foss right now, but, well, they're not going to be subjected to that first round of fire while they fill the foss. And then I can bring my better Anatolians, and in some cases, maybe Janissaries. Net effect of that initial fight. Knocked a couple of guys ineffective. One thing here is back in the box now. Just retreated, not destroyed. I don't want to put him in the dead pile to confuse things, even though he essentially is, for the purposes of the game. And that puts us to stage 4. We remove the inactive markers. And, yeah. Now we can start filling that foss. And as we move to range round 5, all the foss was filled. Actually, the Byzantines got a terrible roll here on their missile fire. And you can see these inactive markers. Those are all successful Ottoman fire. They also got a hit on this unit with Giustiani on it. Now, he didn't get injured, which is important because, remember, all the Genoese leave if he does get injured badly enough. But that managed to reduce a very good unit to about a normal strength unit now. That was like a 3-5-4 or something. Almost, well, no, 3-4-5, I think. No, 3-5-4. Almost as good as the Janissaries. Better defensively. And now we can push forward with the Anatolians against this wall. We've got these fosses to fill. The Byzantines are going to have attacks all along the front in a way that they really haven't seen by good troops. But the front is, of course, limited, but there's not a lot they can do to shove more troops into there. This is sort of the optimal situation. Not a lot of movement, but there was another casualty there. There's one here for the Byzantines. But the Ottomans are taking more casualties, mainly from the fire coming in. But the situation here is kind of a problem because there's no leader at the right height. This is always an issue. You've got to have a leader not only in range, but also at the right height. I've got my leaders concentrated over here. I've got to sort of shift down to get command of those. You can see Ottoman archers actually did a good job making those ineffective, but I still didn't get the hex. I didn't get the attack in. I didn't get hurt trying to get in, but it's getting you know, there's a significant time factor to this. I'm under serious pressure, and this is the last shot I got. The power of those Janissaries is beginning to show up. We've got them punching through here and up on the walls here, getting into the city. Really, in a sense, you could say, well, why didn't you use them earlier? The danger of using them earlier is, one, you weaken your final punch. You really do want to end, you don't want to end up hitting at the non-optimal point. Now, maybe I could have won the game earlier using the Janissaries, but I'd rather not get them all beaten up and fail. I'd rather soften up the Byzantines with something else. Now, they didn't get very soft, but you could always get luckier. The other thing is, if Mehmet dies, it's all over, right? So you've got him right in the thick of things here, because he's got to win. You got Giustiani here too, right in the midst of things. He was in the space that got taken and fell back. All right, well, we got, 4 more impulses to go. And right now we're at 5. 20 more to get inside. Possible? Yeah. Likely? I don't know. This turn 7 ends. No significant change. A lot of opportunities for it, but nothing significant changed there. We did have, though, this unit got damaged. And this guy is out for like 6 turns, so obviously he's out of the game, essentially. So, I mean, we're getting a grip on the Byzantines, but not really grinding them down. And we're beginning to see some troops moving over into, the Bacchanae. I can't ever remember what things are spelled as, in order to back up the potential where, a few Janissaries could get in there. Slipping another unit in, inching forward. 10 strength points out of the 25 needed, but only 2 more turns, or 2 more impulses to go. Nothing else gaining any ground anywhere. That was a destruction of Cardinal Isidore's unit. He's moved down here. Or no, not Isidore. Right? No, this guy. Archbishop Leonard. So many religious guys in charge here. His unit was destroyed, but he managed to escape. Giustiani's still in that front line, still fighting. I don't know how many Genoese units I have along this line here. It could be very bad, but not likely. It takes 4 impulses for them to leave, so I don't have that much time. It would be bad if he was lost, but we wouldn't see a defection in the middle of the battle. We move into Impulse 10. It's clear that the Ottomans would eventually win this if the battle could continue, if the assault could continue. But, it's nighttime. They got to go home and go to the camps or whatever. Purely missile fire broke a hole in. They can move into this space. That means they've got 13 strength points, maybe, in the Blackerneye. They can't slip through, though. They can't keep pushing beyond that. Elsewhere, they're nowhere near this breach. So really, the only way they're going to win is a bunch of successes up here in the Blackerneye region by the Janissaries. This assault has failed. And now the question is, well, where do we have to go? We have to get in here, here. We might be able to get there. We can move into there, against there, and etc. And we've got to do it without taking missile losses from the Byzantines, who are going to be flooding in and trying to position themselves against that as much as possible. So units like this, with Giustiani here, that's not serving any purpose where it is. I can't just jump down this wall. That's still one of those big secondary internal walls. So I've got to... So I can run around and move into this location, because the Ottomans will be here, without any problem whatsoever. And that's it. A little bit of bow fire knocked some of the units ineffective, and an unfortunate successful shot by the Ottomans blew the unit out of this space, which means no possibility of an advance there. That pretty much ended the possibilities, because the most I could get is the 13 I have, plus 5 is 18. No, that's not going to do it. I would have needed 3 hexes, which would be a success here, a success here, maybe one here or here, whatever. None of those are very likely. None of the outcomes that could have happened. But so it's time to go home, and now some reinforcements are liable to show up, and well, the siege will drag on a lot longer, or maybe they'll have to give up. A lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda type things here. Looking at how well the Janissaries went, I kind of wish I had committed them to the last attack, because look at the losses here. Yes, the Janissaries took losses. There's no question. The Janissaries took some heavy hits here, but they still had a significant force that they could have thrown in on the final attack. And these guys aren't that terrible. They're not quite the 544s, but that 3 morale, Mehmed is able to more or less boost that when he's not inside the city, up as high as it'll go anyway. And then the 4 defensive value, which is the really important thing, the thing that says you're not going to hurt these things much in melee, just like, you know, the heavily armored knight units. Well, that more or less remains intact. I think I would have had a shot if I had pushed the Janissaries in that first assault as well. Not at taking it in the first assault, but after having trimmed some of these, weakening the situation so that I had them for the second. How much? Well, it's hard to tell, because honestly it's pretty clear where the breaches were, that there was little or no danger back here. Well, really none, because there were no secondary walls breached. The only thing that could have happened is, oh look, I could have ended up with a tunnel going under over here and been able to launch an attack and not been prepared for that particularly. But look at this. This is still sufficient defenses to hold all this. The hard part is the strategic movement still is under that same limitation. You can only move units that start with a leader, as far as I can tell. And that means you can't reallocate the defenses for the Byzantines anywhere near as easily as you would kind of feel like they should be able to be. You're stuck with more or less what you can get into that range. And unless you have leaders here to pull people out of the holes, etc., you're going to have to kind of use leaders to fill in the gaps where maybe some territory was taken. Those have to be moved into, and it becomes sort of this kind of obnoxious little command control issue with moving the Byzantine units. It's actually one of my gripes about the game compared to Acre or Tyre, where, you know, you can move a force. First of all, you can move the units no matter what, and secondly, the command radius is important for moving your units. It means nothing here. All right, well, that was a playthrough of this, another failed siege that should have been successful. And let's send this one up. I'll be back with a review.